Hey guys, this is Christy with Prosecco and palm trees. I promise you they're outside. You can't see them, but they are right outside my window. In any event, I've had a blog for a while, Prosecco and palm trees, and I'm starting my YouTube channel now. So if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. I'm gonna have more mostly travel related videos here. But this entry is about my recent visit to Walt Disney World. I had the opportunity to have a pass holder preview of the reopening of Walt Disney World Resort here in Orlando, where I live. So I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit nervous when I first went to the park and thinking about going to the park. But for me, before I ever made a decision to take my son, again, I wanted to go to see what the protocols were, kind of what they were doing, and if I thought I would feel comfortable going forward. And I do think after being there and seeing everything going on by myself, but I did feel safe. I would go back again, and they're doing a lot of stuff right. So number one, the first thing you should know is they are limiting new ticket sales right now. Annual pass holders and people staying at the hotels really get the first priority. And even if you're an annual pass holder, you need a reservation to get into the park. So what you're gonna need to do is log into your My Disney app on your phone, or go to the official Disney website for the parks, log in with your information, and you can select up to 3 different days right now. Once you use a day, you can make a new reservation. But at the end of the day, I think things have been relatively open. So anyway, I have my 3 reservations booked for later this fall. And then in addition to that, if you stay at the hotels, even if you're an annual pass holder, you still get a priority to try to reserve while you're staying at the hotel as well. So it's not guaranteed, whether you're an annual pass holder or staying at the hotel. Any day is not absolutely guaranteed. And there's no park hopping right now either. So for you to go to the park, you have to reservation ahead of time, and you can't bounce from park to park, at least temporarily. It's to keep the crowds down and to maintain social distancing, which is actually pretty good in the park. The parks have limited to about 25% capacity. There is a chance that you may not be able to go. Before your visit, I would definitely recommend checking the Disney website, the Disney Go, Walt Disney World website, for up-to-date information about getting into the park. All right, so one thing that you absolutely need to gain access to the park now is a mask. The second you get out of your car on property, that mask should be on your person. You cannot get into Walt Disney World without one. You have to wear your mask both inside and outside. So I know it sounds awful. Honestly, it wasn't nearly as bad as I expected. I'm not super excited about the prospect of wearing a mask outside either, but I think it's a good idea. I think we need to do it right now. And frankly, I felt a lot better because everyone had theirs on. So to wear a mask over the age of 2. So I have a 1.5-year-old, frankly. I have no idea how a 2-year-old would keep a mask on. So my youngest may not go for a while. But practice with your little ones first. Make sure that they're comfortable wearing a mask and having it for an extended period of time. You can temporarily take down your mask to eat and drink in the park. And restaurants are open in limited capacity too. So there is some designated seating. A lot of tables are actually marked off. You can't sit there to ensure the social distancing. When you do take your mask down, I would say it looked like probably 80% of the tables were blocked off at the one restaurant that I was at. All right, social distancing. Disney did a really good job in all the queues and even in parking. So the social distancing starts in the parking lots. When you drive into the parking lot at Magic Kingdom, the parking attendants will actually have you park every other space so that you're not opening your doors and getting out right next to other people. So that's the first precautionary measure Disney's taking as soon as you get there. The tram running back and forth from the parking lot to the transportation and ticket center is not running right now. So again, I think the concern is everyone getting on there and it being a packed in group of people. That's just not super safe. So that's not running currently. I think with 25% capacity, you're really not that far from the transportation ticket center, but be prepared for that walk right away. When you get up to the transportation and ticket center, before you even get to the security area there, you're gonna get to the temperature check area. So you're gonna see that there are markers where you're gonna be standing. You wait in line and you go in and they just real quick scan you for like 2 seconds and they let you pass. If you have a temperature of 100.4 or greater, you are denied access to the park. So that is a really good precautionary measure that they're taking. Again, it's not a fail-safe, but that's something you're gonna have to do, and be prepared to do it when you go to the park, or you will not get in. And here's a quick little video of what that looks like.
Take every large metal object out of your bag or pocket. Take them all the way down, and I'm going to ask you stuff according to me.
So after you get your temperature taken and all is good, then you proceed to the security area. That is a little bit different right now too. So you're not opening your bag and having somebody comb through the contents of it anymore. So what you're gonna do is keep your bag on your person if you have one. You do have to take out any electronics or metal items and put them in a tray like you would at an airport. So security does take that. You walk through the metal detectors and then you pick up your belongings on the other side. One thing that I did is I brought some plastic bags along with me, some Ziploc bags, and I just put my phones and my key and my little charger for my phone, and I just put those all in one bag so I could just take it out, put it in the security bin, and then take it out and dump the contents back into my bag and just throw that away. So it keeps everything cleaner and in one place. So just a little tip for you. Once you get to the transportation and ticket center, you get through your temperature check and you get through security, you then have the option to take either the boats, a bus, or the monorail to the Magic Kingdom. I did not ride the bus and I did not take the boats, but I have heard both are pretty good. The boats supposedly have queues where everyone is supposed to stand to make sure you maintain your distance. On the monorail, you're gonna go up the path. They have markers where you're supposed to walk. So basically, the way all the queues at Disney operate right now is there's a line, you walk directly up to the line and you are supposed to wait there. And then when the next line becomes available, you're allowed to proceed to that. I think everyone did a pretty good job in all, making sure they maintained their distance. Maybe once or twice somebody accidentally sneaks up on you or you lose track of where you are. But for the most part, people did a really good job adhering to that. So you're gonna see that queue starting at the temperature check, security, and then going up into the monorail. The attendant at the monorail too will ask you how many's in your party, and then they assign you a number. You have to now go stand on a specific number, and only 2 parties are in each little seating area. There's a divider in between each. I think there's like 4 sets of seats in each monorail train car. There's a divider in the middle to help maintain distance as well. And then one party sits on the right and one party sits on the left. And there's no intermingling, there's no standing. It's very roomy, not a lot of people at all. So that's how the monorail is gonna work. All right, since I was talking about the queues for the monorail, it's probably a good time to talk about the queues throughout the park in general. So all of the queues within the park, wherever possible, do not have switchbacks now. So in some of the rides, you would go up and back and up and back, and you're passing the people that you just passed before, like airport security. So that doesn't happen as much anymore. They run the queues, so there's large spaces around where folks walk when there are queues. Where there has to be a switchback just because of the flow and there's no other way to do it, plexiglass walls have been installed. So they will run up far taller than any folks that are standing there. So you'll see that plexiglass only in a few places, again, where they have to have switchbacks or things are in closer quarters. But for the most part, they try to get away from that. And we'll run the lines in a bigger area. The other thing, again, you will see is on the ground, you will see those lines. You walk up to the line, you stand, you wait until the next person moves, and then you move on. Frankly, it's a nice way to visit the park because you don't have everyone on top of you. You have your own space. It's kind of civilized. Like, I would have always liked to have visited the park. It would be great if you could stand a couple of feet away from the people in front of you and behind you when you're in line. So that's how that generally worked. There are a couple experiences that are altered with the queues as well. A lot of them that have like those little touch points and things for the kids to play with are no longer, like Winnie the Pooh. Also, the Haunted Mansion. There's some things out front to touch, no touchy. And then when you go through the Haunted Mansion, those of you who are familiar with it, you go into one room and then you go into another room, and that's the room that stretches That doesn't happen anymore. They just run the queue through, so you go advance 6 feet at a time. They have the soundtrack playing. They've just altered how it goes a little bit, so you still hear some of the same stuff. You just don't have the quote-unquote show where the lights go out and all that stuff. So if you want to see what it looks like, I included a clip here. Check it out.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. Now, as they say, look alive, and we'll continue our tour.
Something else that you will probably notice in the park too are signs. There are signs absolutely everywhere. They're reminding people to wash their hands, wear the face masks. If they cough or sneeze, to cough and sneeze in your face mask. Don't take it off to do it. Wash your hands often, sanitize often. All the things you should be doing, they constantly are reminding you in the park with the sign. In addition to that, they also have announcements that will come over the PA system at the park and broadcast over the whole park, reminding you to do the same.
Please wear a face covering. Clean your hands often and thoroughly. Cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing, and maintain physical distancing. Thank you.
One of the things that you'll notice at the park as well is hand sanitizer. It is everywhere, and I mean everywhere. There are random stations throughout the park, and usually at the beginning, at the entrance of every line, for every ride, and then again right at the end, they have sanitizer stations. So as a practice, I sanitized up right before I went on. I did the same thing getting off. I also brought 2 little like Bath and Body Works containers of sanitizer with me, just so I had it and I didn't have to go look for it if I wanted it instantly. One of the other things that you may notice at the park is a lot of the guest experiences that have large gatherings have been suspended right now. So that means no large afternoon or evening parade where everyone gathers together. The character meet and greets are suspended right now, which that means no large afternoon or evening parade where everyone gathers together. The character meet and greets are suspended right now, which anyone who knows me knows that I was back in the Disney College program days when I was there. So that one's near and dear to me. That's sad, but I totally get it. It makes perfect sense. So don't go in there thinking you're gonna see character meet and greets, large parades. Fireworks are another thing. They've suspended temporarily. Hopefully those come back at some point, but they just don't want large groups to get into one place. You will see though, they have like little mini parades, so they'll have like a float or 2 that'll just quickly go through the park, kind of like an impromptu mini parade, so people can just stop kind of where they are, see what's going by, and then it's over very quickly. Like I said, it's usually 1 float, and it'll just have a handful of characters on. All right, so speaking of food, one thing that they really encourage now is everyone to use the Disney mobile app to order your meals. So a lot of folks that are annual pass holders may have already done this. If you have not, check it out. Go to the My Disney app. Also, if you're a resort guest, you can log on, create an account, and provide your credit card information. And then basically what you do is you can go online, and it's actually really awesome. I started doing it a couple years ago just because it's easier and nicer in the park, but you can go scroll through the restaurants. It'll first pop up with those around you if you allow the location settings. But you can just select whatever restaurant you want to go to, order whatever items you want, and then after it has your whole order, you pay for it, and then you tell them when you get there. So you hit a button. If you're there at that time, you can hit confirm, and it immediately will prepare your order, or you can actually get everything prepared earlier and then just keep it on your phone, pay for it, and then go around the park for an hour or 2, whatever. And when you want your order, you just hit a time. You can select a time and it'll be ready for you. So it's really cool. I like doing it anyway, but guests are really encouraged to do that now. So be prepared to do that as well. And then they'll let you know when your number is called. You go to a specific window and you'll pick up your food. There are a number of restaurants and stores that are closed, and a lot of the kiosks are closed also. Not all of the kiosks are closed, so you still can get Mickey bars and popcorn and drinks and that stuff, but a number of the stores and smaller restaurants and kiosks are closed, just to limit, I think, the amount of areas that need to be cleaned. So right now, for the most part, I found that the majority of the rides were actually walk-on, which is really great. Again, I don't know if it was at 25% capacity the day that I was there, I would think it was probably close. But a lot of the rides, you don't really have to wait at all. You just kind of walk through the area to get to the ride. Those that have traditionally had really long waits, like the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Splash Mountain, those ones had maybe like a 20-minute queue where you just went from line to line. But for the most part, there weren't really any lines. So even though you're wearing the mask, which kind of stinks, the nice part is you get on the rides really quickly. So that's nice. So I felt like there was plenty of room in the park for me to move around and not be too close to anyone. Occasionally someone would come kind of near you, but you could self-adjust most of the time if somebody was walking in your path. There seemed like there was plenty of room to get around. Again, I don't know exactly if it was 25%. When I was there, I would think it was probably close to it, but there was plenty of room to walk around. And I'll show you a couple clips just so you can see generally what it looked like when you're just walking around in the park. A few of the areas where there's like a more narrow corridor to walk through, it seemed like there was a little bit more traffic because folks are just condensed to a smaller space. But you could still self-adjust and it still was socially distant. So one of the other things you'll notice too in the park is that they clean the rides periodically. You'll be in line for something, and it seemed like for me, probably half the rides while I was in line, I would hear that they were being closed temporarily for cleaning. Some of them is like 5 minutes, other ones can be closed for a longer period of time. But what they do is they clean all the surfaces of the vehicles that the guests ride in on a periodic basis. And then they run each of the vehicles through several times without people on them before they let guests back on again. So throughout the day, the vehicles that folks are riding in are stopped, they're cleaned, they're run with no people, and kind of the cycle starts over again. So you have it cleaned at periodic points throughout the day, which definitely helps. So when going on the rides, what they do is they keep the parties together, but they will separate you, and the vehicles that have multiple parties that sit in them, they'll seat you apart a couple. So what they'll do is they'll seat your party together. So let's say you have 4 people, there would be 2 and 2, and you'll kind of be in your own little pod, and then they'll leave like a seat or 2 in between, and then there'll be somebody behind them. So you're not sitting person per person per person per person, and each seat in the roller coaster, there are seats in between, and that happened on Space Mountain, that happened on Thunder Mountain, Splash Mountain, anything where there's multiple people. You were either one party to a cart, or they were spaced out with the several rows. So if you are planning to visit Walt Disney World anytime soon, these are the things you're going to have to remember, the top things. You're gonna wear a mask, bring a couple of them. You're gonna be wearing it all day, inside and out. Ladies, you don't need a lot of makeup. You're gonna have the mask on, it's gonna get really sticky, the makeup's gonna run, it's gonna get gross. Do your eyes, put on some mascara, but leave the makeup at home, you don't need it. Another thing to remember is you are going to get your temperature taken. It takes 2 seconds, whether you like it or not. You're not gonna get past the temperature check area and get into even the security area without having a temperature of under 100.4. So the other thing to keep in mind too is for the lines, for all the queues, there will be markers. So there will be a line, you walk right up to that line, and then you wait until the next line in front of you is vacant, and then you're allowed to proceed to that one. Honestly, it's a nice way to go through a line. It's much more civilized. Frankly, I really like it. I hope they keep it afterward. But that's another thing to keep in mind. So those are the top items if you are planning to visit the parks anytime soon. Again, check the website, the official Disney website, if you are thinking about going, just to make sure that there are no other changes or announcements that you need to be aware of. But otherwise, thank you for joining me today. I had fun. I hope this was helpful. I'm gonna have more videos like this in the future, so please subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video.